Joined by my first guest, Republican Congressman Doug Collins of Georgia, who serves as a vice chair of the House Republican Conference. Great to see you today. Let's start with that consistency of message. Is this policy or something else?
I think it's a new regime that we've seen in Washington, D.C. that's decided that Iran doesn't need pampering and coddling. Iran needs to actually be stood up to. And the president's doing that. He said he would. He's doing it. Again, it's keeping promises. And I think that's what's happening in our foreign policy. And those who want to do us harm, those who want to do their European neighbors harm, they're finding out that they're messing with the wrong president.
You know what? Let's just look at Iran for a second, because this is a country that is used to a former president that would do a deal against all odds and put some language inside deals that the American public has yet to see any of. And now he's dealing with somebody that'll open up Tomahawk missiles on Syria after the use of chemical weapons, something very different than a previous president. So what does this mean for Iran?
Well, I think it means that they can no longer manipulate a weak and meandering president that they had in President Obama, who just wanted to apologize to the world and be a weak link in basically a security chain. When you face a bully, when you face someone who wants to say one thing on one side and then seed death and destruction around the world on another, they do not need to be played with. They need to be stood up to and said, if you want to keep your own people down, if you want to put the boot of oppression on your own people, do that. But you're not going to do it outside, and we're going to try everything to empower your people to make sure that they understand that there is a world out there that they're keeping them from. Rouhani is the wrong end of the tail here. He doesn't want to mess with this president.
You know, the use of the word lion's tail, you don't want to get hit by that. You know, I'm going to look at their economy for a second, because you might call it the back end of success. They are definitely feeling perhaps the threat of more sanctions.
Oh, they will be. And the thing about it is it influences Rouhani and the rest of the mullahs and the others who run. Believe me, they're not hurting. They're hurting the rest of their people. And they know that if those sanctions come, what little crumbs and little stuff they give out to their people to keep them at bay will no longer be there. And this is a thriving country that is one that could be so magnificent on the world stage. The Iranian people are great, but they are being held hostage by their own government. And hopefully as they rise up, as we've seen little sparks of that, we can support that. And I think that's what the president's doing.
So, Congressman Collins, we certainly don't need the permission of our Western allies to put a word out, don't threaten us. We might need them in order to carry out a threat. So I'm just curious, where does this leave them? Because some of them are still doing, you know, everything they can to make a deal happen that they can stay in with Iran, which puts them in a very capitulated position, potentially.
I'm not seeing how some of our Western European allies can look Israel in the face and look other places in the world in the face and actually say, really, we're going to appease Iran. We prefer our money deals than we do to what is right and terrorism. When they look at their own people and the terrorism that Iran is plotting inside of Europe, and they're still wanting to protect their business deals, there's a problem at the top there. That's a principle problem. They need to choose the principles over the money, and I think that's where they need to come back to. We've seen that in the past. The president will lead the way. Hopefully they'll come on board.
So generally, how does it work? Do we sanction after rhetoric like this from Rouhani and some of the other religious clerics there, or do we wait for action? And what do you think that action might look like?
Look, Harris, they've provided all the action needed. I was one of the ones who did not like the Obama bad deal to start with. I voted against it, did not think it was helpful. History has proven me right, and many others on the Hill right. I think what we need to do is go back to the reason they even wanted to talk to the appeasement of the Obama administration was because the sanctions were working. Their people were feeling the pinch. We've got to go back to what actually caused it. Unfortunately, Obama thought they came to the table wanting to be a good player. He failed to realize it was the sanctions that brought him to the table, and as soon as he paid them off with a little money to give to their people, they went back to their old ways. They've already broke that deal in many ways. Now's the time for action.
You know, real quickly before I let you go, it's almost what I hear you saying is that the Iranian people now are kind of being held captive by this deal as well. It didn't benefit them because the people who lead them had no intentions of making life better for them. Real quick.
No, all they had is make life better for themselves and keep them down. Mike Pompeo hit it perfectly yesterday.
All right. Congressman Collins of the great state of Georgia, great to have you today. Thank you.
Harris, always good to be with you.